been a while since I have actually done like a Q&A session or answered some questions or concerns or anything that have come up over the years. I've just been so busy with everything going on in the organization. We've been doing this for 10 years now. We've been in this building for 3 years now that we bought ourselves. It was a lot of hard work coming up with the money to that was the largest check I've ever written in my life to purchase this building. And I do not have a problem admitting when I'm wrong about something or I'm a little behind the curve on answering some questions or enlightening people on how things work in our facility and in our organization. And how all of our programs work, how like the behind the scenes kind of stuff works, and fully understanding how a nonprofit like ours actually functions. And from the beginning, it started 10 years ago, as something me and my wife started out of our backyard. And over the years, things pile up, questions, people have concerns. What's the motive? Like everybody has all these questions and these things that pop up in their heads. And, without answers and, as a leader, I take full responsibility on not actually, sharing that. I share it individually when the questions arise and I answer them on the spot, but I've never really done something publicly or, put something in a video like this, or it's kind of hard to tell everybody the same thing. Some people hear little bits and pieces of little things and, it gets mixed up, or, we're all transmitters and receivers kind of thing. So sometimes I'm not transmitting, or if I am, maybe all the information isn't out there. But I wanted to give a little bit of, just a little bit of insight into, how our organization works and how it's structured, and even from a little bit about, from the beginning. This might be a long video. Maybe I'll split it up into pieces, but I don't know. Otherwise, I'm just going to try to cram it all into one thing. And if anybody, cares enough to watch it and listen, and know, have a little information on how the organization works, it will, maybe it'll help you understand and support us, or not support us, whichever. Doesn't bother me. But I just wanted to be able to share some information on how the actual organization works. So number one, as a 501c3 nonprofit, we have a board of directors. Back in the beginning, when me and my wife started this, there was a small group of us that was the board of directors because we didn't have any employees at the time. And we, operated out of the backyard. It didn't, it was supposed to be just about motorcycles. It's grown since then, especially after the Mike Rowe episode. It got a lot bigger than, I didn't even want to do the thing, and it ended up turning into something bigger than it actually was. In the direction that I just wanted to build motorcycles and show veterans how to distract themselves, on that front. That's what worked for me, with my PTSD and my injuries, staying focused on building motorcycles and doing creative things. And then it, after Mike Rowe, the demand for our program and veterans coming out seeking, not everybody wanted to build motorcycles, so there was more to that. In the beginning, especially after I watched that episode, I realized the need for near peer groups and like speaking things, because a lot of times, we're working on motorcycles, we don't actually get to talk about our feelings or things that are going on in our life or our life's experiences and things like that. So we miss a lot of things. So I wanted to start, Lima Charlie. That's where Lima Charlie came up. And then since then, more programs started up. But before all those programs started up, you got to realize me and my wife owned our own business. So we sunk a lot of our own money into, building the place up. We were passionate about it. We were trying to help out, to push the organization in the right direction. And since the beginning, and for 5 years, the 5 years of the beginning 5 years of the organization, me and my wife were volunteers. Just like everybody else, we're not the owners of the organization. So when you create a nonprofit, it becomes an entity. It's like a small child that you have to raise and help it grow and age. And, we're coming up on that 10-year mark, and OCB is kind of sustaining itself. It's standing on its own 2 feet, but we still, as parents, kind of like almost like aunts and uncles, have to take care of, you have to take care of a nonprofit, and you have to keep it alive, and you have to feed it and give it resources and, get grants and things like that, So you need somebody that's basically that custodial parent that's taking care of that. And that's when they decided, me and my wife were actually going to expand our business and get an SBA loan and, take care of our family. And I was just going to run programs. I was just going to be the hot rod therapy guy and help teach on Sundays. And I was going to step away from the day-to-day operations because there's a lot that goes on when it comes to day-to-day operations. And I didn't feel that I could give that to the organization unless I was either employed here or we hired somebody that could do the things that I do. Or that I normally did for those first 5 years, which is pay all the bills, pay the mortgage. At that point we were paying a lease payment and everything on rent, renting a space, but now we own it. But there's a lot, and I wanted to show a little bit of like how our structure works. So on here, and above me here is a board of directors. We've got some committees, and then there's the executive director, and then there's these several positions. You've got 6 departments that keep it alive, and then we've also got our 7 programs. And this is my office area here, but I mean, there's deposits to be made. They all have to be separate. I kind of got a mess here. I just got back from an event this weekend. But there's a lot to keep track of, when it comes to an organization and running each of those departments. And, otherwise we kind of fail. In one of my departments, I need 3 employees there, 2 employees there, 5, and nonprofits need people to manage and run things. I'm sure everybody can imagine that, volunteers, we can't be upset at volunteers. All we can do is thank them for the time that they put in because they have lives too. They have jobs, or even retirement. They have their own fun things that they do. And giving up your time to work for a nonprofit is beyond honorable and appreciated. Me and my wife did it for the first 5 years while we were running our business and trying to run the organization. But we were, eventually the board decided, because we had a board of directors, decided to, and at that point in time, I wasn't on the board. I'm not sure if my wife was either. I mean, that was years ago. It was almost 5 years ago. It was decided that the organization was going to hire me, and my payroll would come from the Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs. So Operation Charlie Bravo, or Combat Bike Saver at the time, wouldn't have to come out of pocket. So 100% of all the proceeds of anybody that donates money to our organization, none of that goes towards paying payroll or employees. Not to say that someday we might have to do that, I'm not sure. But we need to have the majority of all of our resources and the money that comes in and the donations that come in to go to, helping veterans specifically, directly. As it is right now, my payroll comes from the Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs. It doesn't come from. So if they were to not give us that money, I would go find another employment, or I'd start another business. I would find another way to where the organization doesn't have to, come out of pocket to cover that payroll. So as it is right now, 100% of every donation, somebody donates $1, it doesn't go to any payroll employee. But just to say that, to put a pin in everybody understanding that we need about 26 employees, at this point in time. For us to be able to survive. And right now, handful of volunteers and myself as the one employee are managing and juggling this. And I would have to say that, in all honesty, the majority of all the volunteers that are here are actually veterans that come in here seeking therapy, and they end up volunteering. And I always hate to put that stress on them, and I always implore them, hey, make sure you enjoy yourself here as much as possible. Yes, volunteer, but don't overdo yourself. So it's beyond appreciated, and I can't thank people enough, and everybody out there that does all of the volunteering and helping run this place. I definitely could not do it without volunteers and everybody that's put countless years and time and hours into helping this place. But I did want to shed a little light on how, everything works, and how everything that I do is kind of under a microscope, and I want it to be that way, and how we have our bylaws, laid out, and Indiana state law when it says, you must have 4 board members, and that's oversight. So we have to have, a president, a VP, a secretary, and a treasurer, or a chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer. We have, I believe, 7 board members now. Myself and my wife are not on the board. We are not the owners. I could get fired at any moment in time. And I would hope that if I'm not doing my job correctly, that I would be gotten rid of and somebody would come in that can do the job, that would keep providing services and following our mission statement. And I feel sometimes that I'm falling behind, and I'm, honestly, I'm able to take fault in that sometimes I don't fully have the capabilities of communicating all the time. I just kind of like, I'm trying to keep the wheels turning and the lights turned on. And sometimes I don't stop for a minute and actually explain how some of our programs and how our stuff works, so I don't want to be able to get away with anything without, we file our taxes, we do all of our paperwork correctly. Nothing can get over. I don't do anything without board approval when it comes to, large decision making, and especially when it comes to vehicles and what happens with them. So I did want to go over some of some of our property. And, we all know our building. We got a 15,000 square. It goes almost as far as you can see down there. We've got a spray booth. We've got motorcycles in here. This is the very first motorcycle that I ever built. And it was kind of where I came up with the idea for the organization as a whole. I got my dad's ashes in there. He was on the micro episode. This is the one that was in there. But this is the bike that everybody calls this Bike Zero. But this is my only it's my only motorcycle that's mine personally. So like this Road King here was donated by a generous veteran down in Tennessee. It was a little bit wrecked in the rear end. That took me about 2 weeks in the evenings while I was working. I still owned my business at the time, and I wasn't an employee here. And I built this bike for the organization. This bike is in the organization's name. It's in OCB's name. So it's not my bike. I use it for marketing, showing up events to show an example of a motorcycle that you could build here in the organization that would cost you no more than $2,000 was spent on this bike. I think I'm about $1,800 is all I have into this bike. Every single thing on this, besides some of the lights and maybe some electrical stuff and some fittings and stuff, this entire bike was built out of just scrap stuff, leftover, all that's leftover paint. I think the only money I spent was on the pipes and the rear floorboards and maybe some little things, I built the bars from scratch, everything was leftover or, fixed up things, repainted things, because everybody knows I don't like chrome. But so there's that. This is a bike that I originally bought for my wife back in like 2017 or something like that. And in that time period of when I bought it, she ended up having 3 shoulder surgeries since then. So she could no longer ride it. So the decision was made for me to cut it up and turn it into something else. And I wanted to turn this into a maybe possibly a raffle project for the organization. Definitely was not looking to, so it was donated. I paid $400 for the bike. So I'm definitely not building a motorcycle for my wife here in the shop. She is not a veteran. In no way, shape, or form would we abuse any form of, program. So that bike there is to raise money for the organization. That is that we're donating that. So thing here, this bike was donated by a very generous gentleman out of California. And it was, it was 106,000 miles on it. It wasn't super damaged. Even some of the dents I left in it. But I needed to do some marketing for our outdoor adventure program. So this is specifically for that program to shed a light on our outdoor adventure programs and stuff. So, and our programs are still kind of in a infancy. We're trying to have fun and have these little deployments and go to different places. We're going to have our challenges, and we're all disabled veterans or issues, and And like me, I sleep best in a hammock. So I need to find campgrounds that have trees, and it's not that difficult to find those. So it's not that big of a deal for us to do some searching and find these heavily wooded, foresty kind of campgrounds and primitive sites where we can set up and fit everybody's needs, you know. So sometimes veterans need electricity or other things to power up CPAP machines or anything like that. You know, that is always welcome, and we want them to be able to, you know, afford that and make it so where everybody enjoys each of these trips. So we're still growing. We're going to have issues and problems, and people might have different things that they like, and that's why we have these after action reviews, and we go over these things and have the ability to change for the better. You know, that's the thing that I love about, you know, open communication and actually talking about things and finding a way to compromise so that everybody can have a good time in any of our programs. And another thing that I wanted to explain with, we'll go back to the programs here in a minute, but I wanted to explain finish off with some of the vehicles and the things that we have here. So we have obviously an enclosed trailer. Me and my wife, we bought this trailer here, $1,500. It was one of the very first things, you know, we started the organization off with this, my original truck, raggedy, ran this truck into the ground, towing it to events. Some people might remember this truck from the Micro episode, and this was my own personal truck that I towed that trailer, and that trailer used to be white, but me and a buddy of mine out in, I believe it was DeMott, I always mix up Hebron and DeMott. Me and him went out on a Saturday and painted this trailer and our old shop van, painted it black. We did all the body work ourselves, bought all the paint, painted this thing black, and we've been using it ever since. So we've had this trailer since day one, basically. And it's coming to the end of its life. All the floors are ripping out of it. We got some carpet in there right now. So this is our trailer. This is one of our trailers. This car hauler trailer, which I need to do some work to it. I got to put a new battery and a heavier winch on it. But this is our trailer. So I wanted to show some of our fleet vehicles. We have a boat that was generously donated by Judge Cantrell. So we're still in the works of figuring out what we're going to do there with that. We have another boat. This was from Justin and Priscilla. We're keeping this boat here for little, John boat fishing stuff for our outdoor adventure programs. We got a ton of fishing poles and all kinds of other stuff. Another project that I've been trying to work on for years, and I just never have time to work on. But we have that. So this is just the end of our facility down here at this end. And then, some of these tools and stuff that I have down here are in this part of the building is off limits during the week to veterans. It is open to them on Sundays. But during the week, it has to be closed off, number one, because my office is in here and I need some place to have some, because I do mentoring here. I have meetings, but also the other thing in here is there's a lot of paint and chemistry. And there's a lot of stuff in here that can get ruined. And until I have somebody that really has a painting background, or automotive background when it comes to that, it's got to be kind of off limits and a little bit more controlled so that I can, do a better job of teaching and helping everyone understand how the chemistry of painting and airbrushing and all that kind of stuff works. The same thing with the powder coating oven and all that. And a lot of these tools, this is my little shopping cart and my construction carts and stuff. All my tools kind of a mess right now, but I've been working on a building up front. But all these things, I can't have all my tools coming up missing. All of this was paid for from Home Depot grants. So I purchased a lot of these tools for the organization to help, get construction projects, because we do not get grant money for capital improvements. It's few and far between. Strachan Van Til actually helped us out with some grant, and we got lucky enough to talk to them and basically explain to them how much untethered money could help us out with fixing up our facility, so that we could provide better services and improve our facility. So we like powder coating ovens. We'll get $6,000-$7,000. Yeah, we can buy that thing, but I'm running out of places to buy and put things. We just got a $10,900 grant for a sandblasting cabinet that's going to go over here, but now I need to make a footprint for it. So now I need to find a different parking space for our forklift. This again was donated to us as well, so it's OCB property. But I have to find a place to put, I got to get rid of that sandblasting cabinet, but I have a huge $10,900 sandblasting cabinet that I have to buy, and now I have to clear out a ton of space here just to fit that sandblasting cabinet in here. So it's a lot of work to get done just to be able to get the thing in here. We got a donated Bridgeport, and now I have to get a phase converter and get something mounted on the wall over there. Obviously, you can see that we need to paint walls and fix up our building here. But again, we have to find money and to be able to do these kind of things because most of our money is, specifically tailored towards get grants for, and they want us to buy stuff most of the time. They don't want us fixing up our building with the money that they give us. So, average events and things that we go to, that's where we raise our money to be able to have a little bit of open-ended ability to be able to buy things to fix up the place. Obviously, this is going to be the machine shop area. And then we have a car lift, and that's for blaster program or during the week. Veterans that have 24/7 access can come in here and change their brakes and or whatever they want to do on the lift, update their exhaust or whatever. We got a maintenance area with all of our, Steve right now is actually one of our veterans that he comes over here every Wednesday and does all the landscaping and weed eating and mowing. And Brett was doing it for a little while too, one of our other veterans. But otherwise, when I first got in here, it was me doing it all the time. So I really appreciate veterans and volunteers stepping up to help out, take care of this facility, because it does take a lot. It takes a tribe to take care of this place. We've got material racks and stuff for veterans that they can use whatever they want. And then, so for hot rod therapy and how this works, we've got 3 bays in here. And now any veteran in this place, it's just like walking into McDonald's. When you walk in and you're placing an order and you have to place an order. Like you can't just walk in and have McDonald's read your mind, right? You have to express what you need. We have 7 programs in here, and every veteran that comes in doesn't always want to build a motorcycle. You don't have to. So it's kind of, we're organic here and a lot less structured. The processes are structured, and how motorcycle builds, and one way to skin a cat. Hasty, he's, doing this here, his build, and I wouldn't care if he built 12 motorcycles. Don't care. To me, motorcycles are just stuff. We have a bunch of them back there in the pile. So as long as you work on your stuff and, and understanding that because everyone is disabled veterans in this place, everybody is in a different light. We like to see 26 Sundays, or 26 weeks basically of working on your bike to get it done. But sometimes life happens. Things happen. This is organic. And also to understand that now something going on behind the scenes and mentorship and a relationship with this veteran that is specifically and directly between me and him that I do not share with anybody. The confidentiality of what's going on in this person's life and the reason why it is sitting here is probably for a reason. And everyone in the organization fully understands that the reason why this bike is here is for therapy and things to get done. If it was over or something was wrong, the bike would not be here and somebody else would be up there. So there's a reason with everything, and we just have to understand and trust the process and just know that when me and these individuals speak to each other, that there is a plan and that we are discussing things. There's tons of veterans in this facility, that have different projects going. Be, supportive. We could easily just ask the question, hey, what's going on with so-and-so? They haven't been here in a while. And I would just say, hey, something's going on in their life right now that's keeping them from coming in right now. Having that compassion and understanding that everybody, number one is disabled, and maybe they're going through something, maybe a back surgery or something going on in their life, or they just changed jobs and they're working on Sundays. We want to be able to have that understanding and the communication with each of those veterans, so that we can make sure that all veterans are happy. And sometimes veterans just come in and they're just like, oh, what's going on with so-and-so? I haven't seen him here a while. What, did they just quit? The assumptions happen there. But it's just as easy to I would hope that everybody could just come to me and ask, hey, what's going on with so-and-so? And I would just say, hey, believe me and this person are talking. It's not a big deal. Like it's going to be okay. Like we're working on, here's the plan. It's going to be okay. We'll figure something out there. But just like McDonald's, you got to come in and ask for something. Otherwise it's not going to happen. So if you want to build a motorcycle, tell me you want to build a motorcycle. Now you will get your order. Like your order will be placed and you will get your thing. With all of this stuff is free in here. It's just sometimes you got to have a little bit of patience and understanding that we are not a humongous organization that has tons of money and resources and employees and lifts everywhere and motorcycles everywhere and money for parts and all this stuff. So we're doing the best that we can with the limited amount of resources that we have. Basically how we were even founded, so we're doing the best that we can. And we just need to communicate with each other. And this is one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to share this video and share with everybody a little bit of behind the scenes on how everything works. We have 7 programs. We got Lima Charlie. We got our fitness program, that happens, a lot of it doesn't happen here in the building, but it's happening outside of the building and the things are still happening. The JAM program, a veteran was running that for a while. 3 different veterans were running that, but their lives get busy too. And sometimes these programs just, they got to happen whenever they can happen. So, so now we still have this music equipment and veterans can just come in and use it whenever they want. So this is kind of like a veteran 24-hour gym where a vestibule right now. I'm getting ready to put a sign-in area, but veterans can just come in the facility here, with their thumbprint and use this place, however they want. Come in here and you'll sign in a little kiosk right here. A lot of work is being done in here to make improvements. We're always trying to improve, and we always, love feedback and information. And a lot of times, get busy, especially when we're limited. I'm the only employee, and everybody else is volunteers, so they can only give their time when they can. And it's totally understandable, and I'm never upset. I appreciate any amount of help that we can get, but please bear in mind, most of the time during the week, pretty much 7 days a week, I'm the only one here, answering phones and emails. And I have 3-4 other people, a lot of them veterans, that do help with answering emails and getting back to people. But again, they also have lives too, and it's not always that easy to keep up with things. Things get chaos, especially in event season. We're finally glad that things are calming down and winter is coming, but we got a locker room. It's kind of the donations. I mean, we have a lot of good problems. Like we get all these donations of things for us, but who manages to stay organized? And it's very difficult when there's limited resources, and keeping everybody happy was another challenge. I have to keep, the public happy, I have to keep veterans happy, and that's always number one. And helping veterans understand how all of these things work, and that our number one thing that we do here is we want to help veterans be happy. That's our only motive. It isn't anything else. Volunteering and doing all that stuff, that's secondary. All I care is veterans being happy and enjoying their time here with each other, even if it's not with me. I'm kind of like the stepdad to all the guys here in the shop. I'm working most of the time. I would love to play with my kids, but most of the time, I'm indoors and, changing, the entryway, trying to control atmospheres and things back here. Because sometimes on Sundays, veterans want to come back here in the quiet. We can have our Lima Charlie sessions back there while somebody down here, Wiki's happy because he can go down here and he can do some grinding and welding and stuff. And he's not going to bother us back here having our meetings and stuff, because now it's super quiet in there since I installed these doors here. So that way, we can control environments throughout the facility and have people be able to, enjoy our war room, and eventually this is going to be a music room right here. So a 10 by 30 music area with all our sound equipment. And, so again, we have a lot of stuff, and a lot of times you'd think 15,000 square feet, we would, but it fills up fast. So we got our lounge area, lunchroom area, plus we have our boardroom meetings here. We got a little library over there. But I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of background and educational, and I would love, once I post this video up, I need to get back to possibly, I know winter's coming, so it's going to start slowing down a little bit, and do some, Q&As and answer some questions. If anybody has any feedback, or questions or anything, we're an open book. Same thing with the board. If anybody's worried about me doing something wrong, report it to the board. I don't care. Me and my wife were open to a raid of our house, a raid of our bank accounts, our taxes, everything. Like, we're an open book. So if anybody, and you also got to realize that you got to figure. So there's like 7 board members, which me and my wife are not on the board. 7 board members, and then there's like 4 or 5 just regular everyday volunteers that have tons of access to like our bank accounts. So there's oversight and checks and balances kind of thing everywhere. So like, we can't get away with stuff. So like, if anybody wants any information on how all this stuff works, or ask the question. We're open. So Lindsay just got my wife Lindsay just got us our platinum transparency through it used to be called GuideStar, but now it is Candid is the name of it. But I mean, you have to submit a lot of paperwork and things on how this place works, to be able to maintain your nonprofit status. So it's not easy keeping a nonprofit, number one, open and the lights on, but also functional and transparent, and to where, if anybody was to look into us, like we don't want to make mistakes. Like, we want to be open and have people feel warm and fuzzy and understand and know that they have all of their questions answered. So we are a open book. Dig away. We beg for it. We beg for audits. This is our HQ building that we're trying to get done here before our anniversary date, but sometimes it's not that easy. We got a little storage room in here. Just show you guys the kind of the construction projects that's been going on, getting our building finished. Our parking lot, we got a smoker trailer out there. That's our parking lot, and a little window here. This is kind of our makeshift shipping department right now. We got a bunch more inventories and stuff in, but that's got to get, kind of just sitting in boxes right now because I don't have the rest of the building. And one of our board members, Drew, has been helping us out, put in, update things and get things locked in up here and get our building functional. So a lot of the lights are out right now. This building is really off limits right now until we get all the, clean up and fixing up and getting things functional. We got a little vestibule room in here where, donations can get dropped off and packages and things. So I'm getting ready to put a door lock on that. And then I'm working on getting some flooring done in here. This is one of the other, so you've seen my office down there. I make these beautiful offices for our volunteers, and I'm down at the other end of the building in the mold infested grossness of the building. So this is Rob's office. He's one of our, basically my right hand. Couldn't live without the dude. And the same way with John Summers and Jason Smith help out a ton in running all of our operations here and our security stuff, and with cameras and sign-ins and HIPAA stuff. And so this door is locked all the time. That's the security office and Rob's office in there. And then this is our front showroom. So it's all getting there. We just got paint and flooring and trim. Got a new door put in. Marty's going to help us out, put in the, the door opening device, so that we'll have a handicap door swiper thing to where the door opens up. We just had a handicap ramp put in. So we got a lot of stuff going on. This will be the veteran receiving area, a couple couches, and I'm working on at my house right now. My entire garage is full of the front countertop that I'm building for this reception window. So I think I've posted videos of the process on that, but it's been so hot this summer, I haven't been able to pour epoxy. So it's been really hot. So I'm hoping now it's starting to cool down that I'm going to have more time to to do that. I'm hoping that this video really helped shed a light on how a lot of the things work in here, but I guess the last thing that I would like to hit on is that having the understanding that all week long, I think at the last board meeting we had 480 some, I'm not sure what it was, I think it was 2 months worth of numbers, and it was like 480 some, 460 something, I don't remember the number, I know it was over 400 entries through our, like, that's how many people signed into our programs just in 2 months. So you gotta figure, okay, so roughly, let's say 240 veterans a month come through this. So you could imagine, even just this morning, I talked to 2 different veterans that I'm currently mentoring. One's local and one's actually out in Florida. And before that, I got Montana. I've got veterans out in Texas. Just met a bunch down in North Carolina, so now I have their contact information. So all week long, there are different mentorship and relationships that are going on in this facility that a lot of the public doesn't know about and probably never will know about, because that is between myself or the organization and the people that are helping run it and that veteran, and none of anybody else's business of what's going on between that veteran. And all we ask is between our veterans that are currently in the organization and the rest of the public is to understand that when a veteran gets help, just be happy for them. Like if they get a car or, and which we don't post pictures of the veteran getting the car, because that's, again, between us and them, and we're just helping them out, and we don't need a pat on our back. We don't want to publicly shame them and say, oh, here we go, we got a veteran that can't fend for themselves and we had to help them out of a jam. We're just going to tell the public that we gave away X amount of cars or X amount of motorcycles or whatever. We just want to be able to help veterans be happy in life, and maybe take some of those pressure things off, the things that build up, the why can't I get ahead, or when it comes to like financial stuff or my car breaking down, giving every opportunity possible for veterans to come in here and DIY their problems and be surrounded by a ton of like-minded individuals that have tons of different resources, within the community. We have a lot of resources, especially right here in Lake County. I'm really proud of our community and our county here. The amount of resources that we have are unbelievable, and I would love to see what the numbers are in the past 10 years of what we've done here in Lake County, in Indiana. So just know that the relationships and the things that are going on in here. Please don't jump to conclusions on things. Maybe ask the question, reach out. You don't even have to get a hold of me. We've got, you can look on our website and go down to the bottom. There's board of directors, there's leadership, there's stuff on there. Send an email. Phones, we only really kind of answer those. I don't have a receptionist. I don't have a secretary or anybody to answer phones here. So usually when I'm here in the building, if I'm running around, I try to answer the phone. Most of the time I'm sure everybody knows it's telemarketers most of the time. But we try to once a week get back to voicemails, but send send an email, anything. You can reach out to the board of directors. There's ways to contact anybody and ask any kind of question that you have. You can send it to info. There's like 8 people on that group for info@ocbravo.org. You can send us a message, ask anybody a question. You'll 99.999, I don't know, 100% of the time you'll get an answer. So, and if we don't know what it is, we'll find it out for you. But I mean, if you're asking a direct, question about our organization, we're probably going to know it. So, we'll show you where to find it. But I wanted to share that out there and help give people an understanding of, the past 10 years, and especially of where we're at right now, of how our organization works. It's just ask the question. There's nothing being hidden here. We try to help as much as we can everywhere in the community. But we are specific to our facility and our veterans that are currently here, and they're our number one thing. And also just to understand that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, in an organization, especially, a place that needs like 20 some employees, and we only have one. So we're doing our best, and we're hoping, to get more grant funding and studies out there. I'm working with Indiana University and a couple other different universities on trying to get more studies and publications. And I'm working on my doctorate right now, trying to get more ability and more ways that we can help our organization grow in the right direction to, keep veterans on the right path. So that's our only motive here. So, but again, any other questions, post them in the comments, send an email, phone call, whichever. But I just wanted to put this out there and maybe, shed a little light on and clarity on kind of how our organization is structured and it works. And just to know that there's a lot of eyes on this organization, and inability for things to kind of go shady in any direction. So if anybody wants to know anything, just reach out, ask the question. So again, hopefully that gives a little bit more information and clarity on how our programs work. With veterans, when a veteran comes in here, they need to just please open up and ask the question, hey, what's the chances of me building a motorcycle? I'm going to say yes. There's 3 people ahead of you, but if you can, help them out or work on theirs, let's go for it. Like I'm cool with it. We got 30 some motorcycles back there. We only have so much room in the building. We only have 3 build areas, but that doesn't mean that you can't stay busy in the time that you're, hang out with other veterans and have that camaraderie while you're waiting for your turn to build a motorcycle. So it's all has to do with your passion and your wanting to do something in this facility. It's never about, who's got favoritism or anything like that. They just happen to ask. Like if you ask, it's probably going to happen. So you say, hey, can I build a motorcycle? I'm going to say yes. Why would I say no? There's only just going to be a wait. I don't care if veterans build 12 motorcycles in here or whatever. There's so many things to do in this facility that don't require building a motorcycle. There's a forge. We got laser engravers, powder coating ovens, paint booths. Like there's a ton of things that are going on in this facility that's always at your disposal. You just got to ask. You can't just walk into McDonald's and expect everybody to know what your order is or what you want. So just air it out there, ask, and you shall receive, pretty much. Or we're going to find a way to compromise. We don't always have vehicles, so sometimes veterans are like, hey, when's the next blaster donation vehicle coming in? We have one right now that we still haven't even had time to go pick up yet or communicate with, because most of us that are volunteering here, we're all out of town, and we haven't been able to coordinate. We have actually 2 donations out right now. One's out in New Mexico, one's out in Valpo. But sometimes we fall short a little bit, and hopefully we lose a lot of donations too, because sometimes we can't get back to these people quick enough. So we're doing the best that we can with the amount of resources and help that we have. So I would hope that everybody would have the compassion and understanding and love for and support for what we're doing here. And again, please just ask, just communicate. I don't think I'm that scary, and the organization isn't that scary. There's plenty of people that you could talk to, even if it's not me. So, but again, I just wanted to get some information out there, some clarity. I will do my damnedest in the future to do more of these informational things. I want to try to do once a month a Q&A thing. I'll go live or something, and I'll just let people post in the comments or whatever, or send your questions out there. Maybe I'll do a thing. I'll let the questions pile up, and then I'll do another video like this, and I'll just go through and I'll answer all those questions. So again, thanks, and have a good one. If you know any veterans, send them our way. Anybody wants to volunteer and help us out, wants to see behind the curtains, Think Tank Tuesdays are the first Tuesday of every month, right there in the War Room. So if you're interested and you want to help out and you want to see how all of this works, even if you want to just come in and see how it all works, and then you can bounce too. You don't even have to volunteer. If you just want to come in on a first Tuesday night and you just want to go around and look through things and see how it all works here, you are more than welcome. Come on out, and we'll show you everything. Obviously, not the HIPAA, the files and personnel files and things on people, but you'll definitely get a general consensus on exactly how this entire organization works, and you guys are more than welcome, and we would love to help. So again, thanks. See you around. I had to add one more thing in there, and that's about we just got our truck wrapped, and people had some. So this truck here, for a while there, I was asking, I go to the board and I ask, and I understand how much, funding and money that we have, and a lot of the grants and things that we get doesn't allow us to buy vehicles that depreciate, and so we can't fix up our building with grant money, and we also can't buy vehicles with. Now we can do marketing on them, we can do, wraps, and so a lot of our IDVA grant money paid for the wrap on the van, or part of it, didn't pay for all of it. And then we can do marketing things with it. So we can like paint them or put marketing materials, stickers and things like that. But initially in the beginning, so I was trying to get, the funding from, I go to the board meetings and I ask my board, like, hey, can we purchase a truck? I believe that I can bring in X amount of dollars to cover, with the marketing that it will create and the ability for it to you can be used for events and pick up trailers. I initially had asked the board for, the ability to make a purchase for a vehicle around, I think it was $26,000. So I was looking for a used truck for the organization. And so in the meantime, once I got it actually approved when it started going, so I got the permission basically to buy a truck for the organization and have about a $400 a month vehicle payment for the organization. So it had another fleet vehicle. But I also needed a personal truck myself to use for my own personal stuff. Me and my wife made the decision to just buy the truck basically and use it for OCB and do kind of the same thing that I do with my orange truck over there that I kind of let rust away or whatever, in the efforts to save the organization another $400 a month. So me and my wife make the payments on this truck. So this is my truck. It's my own personal truck. And the Trinity displays, actually, I designed all this stuff to do a wrap on a truck or a truck like this, and I had done all the artwork on that prior to actually purchasing the truck. I just knew what year I was going to buy, and I did all the artwork and everything for it. It's kind of, I'm a graphic designer, I'm an artist, and you know what? You know how much I would have paid somebody to design all this artwork and all of this? But instead, I saved the organization a lot of money by designing this myself. I designed the original logo. I've designed all of these logos and all of this stuff, did all this design to save the organization money. And everything I do is to try to save the organization money. So Trinity went above and beyond and actually donated this wrap to us. So it didn't cost us anything. So number one, it's not costing us anything. And number two, me and my wife are making the payments on it, and I use this for OCB almost every single day. Usually the bed of my truck is loaded with lumber. I'm hauling trailers, picking up donations. I go make deposits in this thing. I run around in this thing every single day. And you can see, as an organization, you can't get a veteran tag. So it's registered in my name. Me and my wife make the payments on it, and another thing that OCB doesn't have to worry about. So I just wanted to put that out there, put a little clarity on how this stuff works. So thanks.